Every empire starts with a single machine. One invention, one risk, one person sitting alone at night thinking, what if this actually works? Some people build companies. Some people build apps. Some people change the world. And some people turn their bedroom into a 4-hour industrial furnace trying to make $12 a day in crypto. For me, it started with one GPU. At the time, it was just my gaming computer. Nothing special. A normal setup. One monitor, one desk, a cheap chair that squeaked every time I moved. I used it for games, YouTube, homework sometimes. Normal life. Then one night, I saw a video. Some guy on the internet sitting in front of walls of glowing graphics cards saying he made money while sleeping. Passive income. That phrase changes people. The way he talked about it made it sound so simple. Your GPU already sits there. Why not let it work for you? That sentence infected my brain instantly. So, I started researching. At first, it was harmless. A couple videos, a few Reddit posts, some benchmarks. But then, the algorithm found me. Suddenly, every recommendation became mining content. How much I made in 1 month. Best GPUs for mining. Turn your gaming PC into passive income. I watched all of it. Hours, days, entire nights disappeared. The deeper I went, the more it felt like everyone else had already figured something out before me. And I was late. That feeling is dangerous. Because once you feel late to something, you stop thinking clearly. So one night around 2 a.m., after watching a guy explain mining profitability with the confidence of a Wall Street CEO, I downloaded the software. The setup looked sketchy. Every tutorial said the same thing. Windows might think it's a virus, but trust me, that should have been a warning sign. Instead, I ignored it completely. I clicked install. The screen flashed. Fans started spinning faster. Temperature numbers appeared. Hash rate numbers started moving. And suddenly, my computer was mining crypto. I just sat there staring at the screen. The fans got louder and louder. The GPU temperature climbed higher. The PC sounded different now. Not like a gaming computer, like a machine doing labor. Like it had a job. And for some reason, that felt important. I went to sleep, excited. Not because I expected to become rich overnight, but because something about the idea felt magical. Making money while sleeping felt illegal. The next morning, I woke up and immediately checked the mining dashboard. 38 cents. That was it. 38 cents. Not even enough for a soda. Any reasonable person would have laughed and uninstalled everything. Instead, I stared at those 38 cents like I had discovered oil in my backyard. Because it worked. The computer actually made money while I slept. Tiny money. Embarrassing money. But still money. And that tiny success completely rewired my brain. After that, I became obsessed. I started calculating everything. How much per day? How much per week? How much per month? How long until I can buy another GPU? That question became the beginning of the end. I learned every mining term imaginable. Hashrate, core clock, memory clock, power limit, undervolting, efficiency ratios, VRAM temperatures. I started talking like an engineer despite having absolutely no idea what I was doing. And slowly, gaming disappeared from my life. Every time I launched a game, I thought about lost mining profits. Every hour spent gaming became an hour the GPU wasn't earning money. So eventually, I stopped playing. The computer had a new purpose now. Mining became routine. Wake up, check profits, check temperatures, check charts, watch mining videos, refresh prices, repeat every single day. My room started changing too. The heat came first. At first, it was manageable. Then it became ridiculous. The GPU turned my bedroom into a microwave. The air felt heavy. Electronics generated this weird dry heat that never disappeared. Even in winter, the room stayed hot. I started sleeping with the window open in freezing weather. Not for fresh air, for survival. Then came the noise. People who never mined before don't understand the noise. GPU fans don't sound peaceful. They sound aggressive, like the computer is constantly struggling to survive. At night, the fans echoed through the room endlessly. A constant mechanical roar. But after a while, the noise became comforting. Silence started feeling wrong. Then one day, the thought appeared. The thought every miner eventually has. If one GPU works, what about two? That single idea has financially destroyed thousands of people, including me. I spent days comparing prices, watching reviews, calculating profitability, convincing myself it was smart. I called it an investment. That's what people say when they want to feel responsible while making terrible decisions. Then I clicked buy. The second GPU arrived 3 days later. Opening that box felt different. Not like buying computer parts, like expanding infrastructure, like growth. I installed the second card carefully. The moment both GPUs started mining together, the room transformed instantly. The heat doubled. The noise doubled. Power usage exploded. My desk vibrated slightly from the fans. The lights in my room actually dimmed once. That should have concerned me. Instead, I smiled, because more power meant more profit. At least in theory. Now my entire day revolved around optimization. Airflow became a serious topic. I positioned fans in exact directions. I monitored temperatures obsessively. I learned that GPUs mining at full load for months straight produce enough heat to make you question your life choices. But by then, it was too late. Because mining had stopped being a hobby. It became identity. I joined mining communities. Forums, Discord servers, subreddits filled with sleep-deprived people discussing thermal pads like ancient scholars discussing philosophy. Everyone talked the same way. Nobody ever had enough GPUs. Nobody ever reached enough profit. Every miner believed the next upgrade would finally make everything worth it. So naturally, I bought more. 2 GPUs became 4. 4 became 6. Then came the open-air mining frame. That's when my bedroom officially stopped looking normal. The rig sat exposed on metal shelves like industrial equipment. Cables covered everything. Power strips multiplied across the floor. RGB lights glowed constantly in the dark. The room no longer looked like a bedroom. It looked like a failed startup company. The sound became unbelievable. Imagine standing next to 6 vacuum cleaners running non-stop for months. That was everyday life. Conversations became difficult. Sleep became difficult. Thinking became difficult. But the hash rates looked amazing. And somehow, that made everything acceptable. Then crypto prices exploded. Suddenly, profits skyrocketed. For a brief moment, I felt like a genius. Every terrible decision suddenly looked smart. The rigs were printing money. I refreshed earnings every few minutes just to watch numbers increase. That period changes people permanently. Because once you experience easy money once, your brain never fully recovers. I started planning expansion seriously. Bigger rigs, better cooling, more GPUs, maybe a warehouse someday. That's how delusion begins. You stop seeing the electricity, the heat, the risk. You only see future profit. Then the electricity bill arrived. Reality finally entered the room. The number was horrifying. It looked less like a utility bill and more like ransom demand. For the first time, I actually calculated true profitability, not fantasy profits, real profits. After electricity, after costs, after taxes. The answer was painful. I wasn't making nearly as much as I imagined, but by then, it didn't matter anymore. Because mining wasn't really about money anymore. It became obsession. Optimization became addictive. Every extra megahash felt like achievement. Every temperature drop felt like victory. Every new GPU felt like progress. The setup consumed my entire life slowly. Dust became a constant battle. Fans failed. Cables overheated. Drivers crashed randomly at 4 a.m. The rigs demanded constant attention. Mining is called passive income by people who never actually mined. There's nothing passive about maintaining a room full of hardware trying to melt itself every day. Then came the crash, and everything changed overnight. Prices collapsed. Profits vanished. Charts turned red everywhere. The same rigs that once felt magical suddenly looked terrifying. Now they weren't money printers anymore. They were giant expensive heaters eating electricity. I stayed awake for hours watching the market crash live, refreshing prices endlessly. Maybe it would recover. Maybe tomorrow would be better. Maybe this wasn't the end. Meanwhile, the rigs kept screaming beside me. Still running, still hot, still consuming power every second. And the worst part? I couldn't shut them off. Because after years of constant fan noise, silence felt uncomfortable. I had become emotionally attached to machines. That's when I realized mining changes people. Not financially. Mentally? The obsession rewires your brain slowly. You stop thinking normally. You start measuring life in efficiency. Electricity becomes emotional. Room temperature becomes strategy. GPU prices control your mood. And despite all of it, I still loved it. Years later, the rigs still run. The room still glows at night. The fans still scream endlessly. The electricity bills still hurt. Visitors still walk in and ask, "Is this profitable?" And honestly, I still don't know how to answer. Because if you count every expense, probably not. If you count the stress, definitely not. If you count the hours spent fixing crashes at 3 a.m., absolutely not. But somehow, that still doesn't matter. Because mining was never really about the money. It was about building something, optimizing something, chasing the feeling that the next upgrade would finally make everything perfect. And it all started the same way. One GPU, one late night, one tiny profit, one terrible decision. And even now, after all the crashes, all the heat, all the noise, if I see a GPU on sale, I still stop scrolling.